Welcome to week 5. You've made it past the halfway point, so it's very important that you stay focused. This week we delve into some data collection, focus groups, and analysis, and we have some very good information that will help you along this journey this week. First, we'll start with Chapter 6 in our Kruger and Casey text. They talk about the analysis process, and as part of that process, you always want to remember the purpose. I think I've said it every week, and I'll probably say it every week henceforth, that the purpose of the study helps us. It guides the direction, depth, or even the intensity of analysis. So if you get bogged down or stuck, Kruger and Casey recommend that you go back to the plan for the study and reread that purpose. That's because the purpose serves as the guiding star. If we follow it, it helps keep us on track. If we're clear about it all along the way, we're much more efficient and certainly more effective at getting the information that we need. One of the other things that Kruger and Casey reveal for us in Chapter 6 is that there are 4 critical qualities of focus group analysis. The analysis needs to be systematic, verifiable, sequential, and consequential. Those are very important. They'll help keep you on track. So review those carefully as you review the text, this chapter this week. Kruger and Casey also tell us that we should challenge ourselves. Seek evidence that disproves or presents counter information. Seek insight from colleagues, especially those who may have a different view and come from a different background. Be ready to release your grip on interpretation and embrace some alternatives that you hadn't thought of before. Be open to multiple realities. So some very good advice in Chapter 6 of Kruger and Casey this week. We also have a very interesting reading this week. It's a case study for an emergency department written by Seltzer, Gardner, Bouchard, and Callison in 2012. They start out by telling us that the study is grounded in the literature on relationship management that is developed in the field of public relations. Notice it's grounded in the literature. This is true of all case studies, of all studies, period. And it's very important that you ground your findings, ground your study in the literature. You don't want to just do something because you feel like doing it. There needs to be a need represented. There needs to be some background upon which this study will be based, and that background comes from the literature review. Some of their findings will probably seem familiar. I'll read a couple of them here. They say that the primary communication channels used in this emergency department include email, staff meetings, face-to-face interpersonal communication, and an extensive and strongly rooted grapevine. As I said, it probably sounds very familiar. So even though this case study focused on an emergency department, I suspect that there are some lessons learned for anyone working in any organization. And that's true of many case studies. They talk about how the investigation utilized a case study approach because it was particularly helpful when understanding internal relationships, attitudes, and behaviors within an organization. They quoted Berg from 1998, who made that recommendation. And that's important for this specific study. It's also an important lesson for us to learn. In other words, we choose a specific method based upon what others have said work well, authoritative sources who show that this method works well. And you'll want to note that throughout your research. They go further and talk about how the qualitative methods that they used include in-depth interviews, focus groups, and field observations. Another common practice, especially in qualitative research, is that we'll combine different types of methodologies in order to help verify that the information that we are finding or discovering is consistent across those different methods. Final recommendation for the week is to review the limitations of this case study. Those are on page 135 of the Seltzer piece. Look at those and see how those limitations compare with the advice that we were given in Chapter 6 of Kruger and Casey. where they offered that we should always challenge ourselves. We need to be realistic about the limitations of our study. Okay, again, congratulations on making it past the halfway point. Use this time to bear down and focus as we learn more about data collection, analysis, focus groups, etc., other qualitative work this week. As always, stay ahead with all assignments, stay engaged in the discussion board, and enjoy this time of learning.